Hey everyone, welcome back. Your ultimate destination for all the latest news and fascinating insights about our favorite NFL team, the Cleveland Browns. As you can see, we've moved from our regular studio setup for the time being. We're hitting the road for the next few days, delivering our shows while on the go. Tonight, we're rolling with a unique setup, just one door this evening, breaking away from our usual multiple entries when on the move. Tonight, it's just me at the helm, joined by our guest who will be hanging out with us for the next few days. We appreciate your patience as we deliver the program from our temporary location. We truly value each and every one of you who has tuned into our past episodes, hit that subscribe button, and shared your insights in the comments. Your support means the world to us. Your support means everything. All right, folks, it's time to jump into today's chat with our special guest. Today, we're diving into the fact that Myles Garrett is still showing no signs of letting up on the gas pedal. We need to break down what both worries and thrills me about the trade for Titus Howard. Additionally, we'll dive into how this trade impacts our draft strategies moving forward. Let's dive into why the scenarios surrounding Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa matter when it comes to Deshaun Watson. Next up, in our viewer feedback segment, we'll dive into what Shedeur Sanders is set to maximize as he steps into the QB1 position. But first, let's talk about the urgency, or more accurately, the absence of it in decision-making. Myles Garrett has found himself in hot water once more for speeding violations. This time, he was cruising at 94 miles per hour in a 70-mile-per-hour zone on Interstate 71, a stretch of road he clearly enjoys for his high-speed adventures. This event took place on February 21st, but it has just recently been revealed. This is at least his 9th speeding ticket in Northeast Ohio since 2017, and the second one since his Porsche rollover incident in 2022. Remember, he got hurt in that crash, which caused him to miss some games. We need to tackle this head-on because he represents our franchise, and he's on the verge of becoming the face of the whole league. Still, these ongoing problems just won't go away. Even with being the top sack leader and arguably the best defensive player in the league, this trend persists. He leads the team. This isn't the first time we're witnessing this trend unfold again. As a parent, I must express that he has room for improvement. When situations like this happen with our players, we need to think about not just their personal safety, but also the potential threat to others. A buddy was in the car when he rolled it over. Fortunately, everyone came out of that crash without serious injuries. You'd think the lesson would have sunk in by now. I'm sorry, but I can't help but feel my parental instincts take over with this kind of behavior. Myles, come on, just take it easy on the gas pedal, will ya? All Browns fans are on the same page. We need him to take it easy. I was on the move when the whole Titus Howard trade went down. My first thought was, oh no, not another trade with the Texans. I was worried based on our past interactions with them, particularly regarding the acquisition of Cam Robinson. Let's break down my thought process. My initial thought was, oh no, not another deal with the Texans, please. As I dug into the details, I couldn't help but think, oh boy. This trade with the Texans involves a player whose run-blocking skills are, to put it mildly, just average. Titus Howard truly stands out when it comes to pass blocking. That's when my hype started to rise. You might be asking yourself, Dave, how is that relevant? My excitement grew when I discovered just how skilled Titus Howard is at pass blocking, as it clearly indicates that we'll be throwing the ball a lot this season. This is awesome news for Shedeur Sanders, as he now has Titus Howard solidifying the right tackle spot. With his impressive blocking skills, this player was nearly perfect last season for the Texans. A major plus is that, in contrast to Jack Conklin, he has a track record of maintaining his health and being available for games. This is exactly why they locked him in with a 3-year, $63 million deal. They plan to hold on to him for the long haul, acknowledging his importance to the passing game. Conklin's ongoing injury problems were a significant concern, making his contract seem like a lost cause, but his exit was expected. With Titus Howard joining the team, boasting an impressive resume and a stellar reputation as one of the top pass blockers in the league, Shedeur has every reason to be excited. This solidifies my conviction that Todd Monken's offense is set to focus heavily on the passing game. But the big question is, how will this trade impact our draft strategy? especially considering our need for offensive linemen. I immediately thought that this probably eliminates all right tackles from our draft options. He's locked in with a 3-year deal, so the right tackle position is solidified. As a result, players such as Francis Mauigoa, expected to play as right tackles, are likely to be unavailable. The trade involving Howard pretty much rules him out as a target now. In the same vein, Spencer Fainu, Asher from Arizona State, and Blake Miller, a local talent from Strongsville now at Clemson, are all right tackles who probably won't be on the Browns' draft radar, given the lack of immediate necessity. This situation doesn't call for drafting a right tackle to sit behind someone on a short-term contract. It's all about making a long-term investment. So, I'm sure that drafting a right tackle isn't a top priority anymore. This lets us zero in on left tackles such as Caden Proctor from Alabama, Monroe Freeling, Caleb Lomu, and Trey Zune III from Texas A&M. Keep an eye on the guard prospects still out there, like the Penn State guard and Jennings Dunker from Iowa, who is a right tackle that might make a smooth switch to guard. There are still plenty of solid choices available, even if right tackle isn't on the agenda. This trade is shown to be advantageous in multiple ways. As we talked about earlier, I suggested keeping the trade option on the table, expecting that Andrew Berry would take a page from the Chicago Bears playbook, who made 2 trades and brought in multiple players ahead of the draft. I was caught off guard by how quickly this trade went down, but here we are. This move is crucial for strengthening our offensive line. We can't overlook the chance of another trade happening, particularly with the Bears having made 2 moves already. We might still have an opportunity to make a trade for another player. This move creates a ton of opportunities, and I'm now convinced that a draft day trade back is definitely on the table. The rapid execution of this trade could be attributed to teams recognizing that our right tackle position is now secure, which might make us more open to the idea of trading down from our current pick. It's a huge win that we can now zero in on the remaining tackles and guards. Even though the right tackle is off the board, I've pinpointed 6 potential candidates, and that's only the beginning. This draft class is loaded with skilled offensive linemen, creating plenty of chances for the Browns to bolster their roster. This trade really boosts our flexibility, especially when it comes to making moves on draft day. This also lets us focus on tackling and guard positions. Still, I firmly believe that bringing Ty Linderbomb on board is crucial. This is, without a doubt, the most crucial decision the Browns need to make, considering the impact he would have on the team. His grasp of the Monken offense and his knack for helping Shedeur and other talented players grow, along with the young offensive linemen, would be a huge asset. Titus Howard, right from the start, will have to get a grasp on the Monken offense. There's no way to put a price tag on that. Even with a hefty 3-year, $63 million contract in hand, I'd go all out to lock down Ty Linderbomb. That's the one goal that stays the same for me. The draft strategy has taken a positive turn, with a trade down now looking like a solid option. We can now zero in on left tackle and guard. Nonetheless, my focus on player acquisition stays the same, locking in Ty Linderbomb. Another area seeing major changes is the quarterback situation in places such as Arizona and Miami. It's crucial to keep an eye on these developments since we have Deshaun Watson in the mix. These teams are cutting loose quarterbacks with hefty contracts, taking on major financial hits as they move forward. This has been happening for a while now. Here's why I've always pointed out that releasing Deshaun Watson after June 1st is definitely on the table. Check out these cap hits. Tua's is set to be a staggering $99 million. When Denver released Russell Wilson, his contract was worth $85 million. Matt Ryan's contract was worth $41 million. Kirk Cousins' contract was worth $23 million. The Falcons faced a tough financial hit back-to-back, with Ryan's situation unfolding in 2022. Kyler Murray's cap hit for the Cardinals is set to be $37 million. Teams simply can't afford to wait any longer. They can't afford to waste a roster spot just to pay a player who's not delivering on the field. This way of thinking has to shift. Teams need to part ways with players who aren't meeting expectations to create room for younger, more talented quarterbacks on the roster. The priority should be on securing the quarterback of tomorrow, rather than holding on to a player who was once thought to be the answer, but ultimately fell short, especially after a major financial commitment. The Browns are in a comparable situation with Watson. The great thing about cutting him after June 1st is that the cap hit gets distributed over time. The total amount stands at $130 million, which will be split into roughly $50 million and $80 million over the upcoming 2 years. Tua's $99 million hit is significant, accounting for half of his total cost to Miami, and it's about the same as what Denver paid for Russell Wilson. This situation is similar to what Matt Ryan faced when the Falcons parted ways with him, and it mirrors what's happening with Arizona and Murray. This isn't a groundbreaking decision and falls right in line with what we've seen from the Browns before. I've been saying this since last year's training camp. The Browns are probably going to cut him after June 1st. He'll get a chance to display what he can do. He's still dropping those Uncle Rico videos, now trying to show off his mobility with that surgically repaired Achilles. Yet, there has never been a case of someone bouncing back from such an injury and reaching their former performance level. He's got a tough road ahead of him. Moreover, the fans are mostly not in his corner. Jimmy Haslam called the acquisition a big swing and a miss. Taking all these factors into account, a cut after June 1st has always seemed like the most sensible outcome to me, and that's how I expect this situation to play out. They won't keep a player who could hold back the growth of a promising young quarterback. Andrew Berry has made that clear himself. Here's the scoop on why Deshaun Watson won't be taking the field as the starter for this team. Shedeur Sanders takes the helm as the starting quarterback. I'm expecting them to pick a quarterback who could step in as a third stringer, and maybe even move up to the second string spot, depending on how everything plays out. On the other hand, Dillon Gabriel might stick around as the backup if the right trade deal doesn't come his way. That said, I value stability in the quarterback position. If we have a right-handed starter, I'd really like to see right-handed quarterbacks all around. This is just my personal take, but it definitely plays a role for me. Other teams in the league are making moves and not sitting idle. They aren't bound to retain a player just because of their salary, no matter the cap consequences. Miami, Denver, Arizona, and Atlanta have shown this already, and the Browns find themselves in a comparable situation. I firmly believe that the Deshaun Watson chapter in Cleveland has come to a close. If I'm wrong, it means the Browns have brought in a solid backup quarterback, but I just can't see any other scenario playing out. His time here has come to an end. First off, it's important to note that no player has managed to bounce back from a double Achilles tear on the same leg in under a year and regain their previous level of performance. That's absolutely one of a kind. Letting go of a player who carries a significant cap hit, on the other hand, is a different story. A player bouncing back from a dual Achilles injury is truly something we've never seen before. When it comes to what we definitely don't want to see make a comeback, it's those viewer comments that always seem to be at the top of their game. Our first submission is from Michael Amiet, who says, "I just don't see any reason to keep Watson and see what he has. We definitely won't be bringing him back for another contract. We have no obligations to him, and there's no reason to feel compelled to let him finish his contract years. Those prime years are long gone, and that's all there is to it. This situation is made worse by his Achilles injury, pushing those possible best years even further behind him. And remember, it's not only the Achilles, we're talking about the ACL, the shoulder, and a bunch of other problems too. He's beginning to look like that character from the game Operation, where you have to skillfully remove pieces without hitting the edges. With all these injuries, he's starting to resemble that game piece. Michael, I totally get you, and we're definitely aligned on this. I just can't envision this unfolding differently. There's absolutely no reason for this, especially considering Andrew Berry's comments about how players over 30 won't hinder the growth of younger talent on the roster. We're embracing a youth revolution. Don't forget, we've been talking about this for weeks. The youth movement is really taking off in Cleveland. I completely agree with your take on Deshaun Watson. Next up, we have a comment from Philip Reed 9246 who says, "Many of those sub 4-5 wide receivers struggle to get off the line." He's talking about how players performed at the Combine. People are criticizing Carnell Tate for his 4-5 time, but I'm all in on Carnell Tate every single time. I couldn't care less. Carnell Tate is a must-have, no question about it. Jimmy Haslam called the acquisition a big swing and a miss. Taking all these factors into account, a cut after June 1st has always seemed like the most sensible outcome to me, and that's how I expect this situation to play out. They won't keep a player who could slow down the growth of a promising young quarterback. Andrew Berry has made it clear himself. Here's the scoop on why Deshaun Watson won't be taking the field as the starter for this team. Shedeur Sanders takes the helm as a starting quarterback. I expect they'll bring in a quarterback to fill the third-string role, and maybe even the second-string spot, depending on how everything plays out. On the other hand, Dillon Gabriel might stay as the backup if a solid trade offer doesn't come his way. That said, I really value consistency in the quarterback room. If we're rolling with a right-handed starter, I definitely want to see right-handed quarterbacks all around. This is just my own take, but it definitely plays a role for me. Other teams in the league are making moves and not sitting idle. They aren't bound to keep a player on the roster just because of their salary, no matter the cap implications. Miami, Denver, Arizona, and Atlanta have shown this already, and the Browns find themselves in a comparable situation. I'm ready to back this claim. The Deshaun Watson chapter in Cleveland has come to a close. If I'm wrong, it means the Browns have snagged a solid backup quarterback, but I just can't see any other scenario playing out. His time here has come to an end. First off, it's important to note that no player has managed to bounce back from a double Achilles tear on the same leg within a year and regain their previous form. That's absolutely one of a kind. Letting go of a player who carries a hefty cap hit, though, is a different story. A player bouncing back from a dual Achilles injury is something we've never seen before. When it comes to what we definitely don't want to see make a comeback, it's those viewer comments that always seem to be at the top of their game. Our initial submission is from Michael Amiat, who expresses, "I just don't see any reason to hold on to Watson and find out what he can do. We definitely won't be bringing him back for another contract. We have no obligations to him, and there's no reason to feel compelled to allow him to fulfill his contract years. His prime years are long gone, and that's all there is to it." This situation is made worse by his Achilles injury, pushing those possible best years even further behind him. And remember, it's not only the Achilles. We're talking about the ACL, the shoulder, and a bunch of other problems too. He's beginning to look like that character from the game Operation, where you have to skillfully remove pieces without hitting the edges. With all these injuries, he's starting to resemble that game piece. Michael, I totally get you, and we're completely aligned on this. There's just no way I can envision this unfolding differently. There's absolutely no reason for this, especially considering Andrew Berry's comments about how players over 30 won't hinder the growth of younger talent on the roster. We're embracing a youth revolution. Don't forget, we've been talking about this for weeks. The youth movement is really taking off in Cleveland. I completely agree with your take on Deshaun Watson. Next up, we have a comment from Philip Reed 9246, who says, "Many of those sub 4-5 wide receivers struggle to get off the line." He's talking about how players performed at the Combine. People are hating on Carnell Tate for running a 4-5, but I'm all in on Carnell Tate every single time. I couldn't care less. Carnell Tate is a must-have, no questions asked. This dude snags every pass thrown his way. Philip Reed accurately highlights that numerous sub 4-5 40 times don't necessarily lead to a strong release off the line. So, speed isn't the only factor that matters. He points out that Jeudy possesses speed, yet has difficulties with his release. Philip expresses satisfaction with a receiver who may not be the fastest, but has impressive quickness, big hands, a solid grip on the ball, and avoids catching with his chest. Lance Risland, a name I've brought up multiple times, delivers top-notch film breakdowns for Cleveland.com and has shared his insights as well. He shot me a message about the 4-5 speed, stressing that pure straight-line speed is meant for track and field. Wide receivers don't have to clock 40 times in the 4-2s. That just turns them into combine sensations. It's all about instincts, deciphering the defense, and analyzing coverage. This idea also holds true in baseball, where quick base stealers aren't always the speediest runners. Back when the Cleveland Guardians were known as the Indians, they had a third baseman named Toby Harrah. He might not have been the fastest guy on the field, but his base stealing skills were top-notch, thanks to his sharp instincts. He had the ability to predict pitch types, analyze the pitcher's delivery, and capitalize on chances that came his way. He was a clever runner, not necessarily a speedy one. Wide receivers need to grasp coverage and nail their release off the line. It's absolutely essential. Straight line speed is just one piece of the puzzle, and it probably doesn't even crack the top 5 traits that characterize a top-tier wide receiver. Catching the ball, particularly in tight situations, and being able to create separation are absolutely essential skills. The impact of straight-line speed on these elements is minimal. I totally agree. When it comes to wide receivers, it's worth mentioning that the Browns recently brought in Jordan Tyson, a standout from Arizona State and the brother of Cavaliers player Jalen Tyson, for a visit. I've always had my doubts about Jordan Tyson because of his track record with injuries. College players who deal with injuries often find themselves battling similar issues when they make it to the pros. So, I'm not really feeling it, but they definitely have to check out all possible prospects. I'm all in on Carnell Tate. I'm all about those bigger receivers in this draft class, like Denzel Boston and Brazell from Tennessee. Here are the kinds of players I'd go after. I might even take a shot on Sincere Brown, a possible undrafted free agent who has some serious speed, clocking in at 22 miles per hour. Show me those tall receivers who can snag the ball. The Browns are bolstering their wide receiver depth by signing Malachi Corley, an exclusive rights free agent, ensuring his return to the team. Jamari Thrash has received an extension. In a similar move, tight end Brendan Bates, long snapper Rex Suhar, linebacker Winston Reed, and kicker Andre Szymanski have all seen their contracts extended. It was clear from the start that keeping Szymanski was a smart move, particularly since he was an exclusive rights free agent. Word on the street is that punter Corey Borquez won't be getting a new contract and is likely moving on to a different team. Current reports indicate that the Browns are unlikely to bring him back. Looks like we're on the hunt for a new punter, unless something crazy happens out of nowhere. This situation is definitely not what I was hoping for. I think Borquez could be the greatest punter we've ever seen, and now we're just letting him go. While nothing is set in stone at this point, the buzz is strong. It looks like the Browns are ready to part ways with him. We should keep a close eye on how things develop. Timothy West, a figure from the year 1183, underscores the critical role of a strong offensive line. Shedeur is expected to boost the performance of many wide receivers significantly. This is in line with what we talked about before. The main beneficiary of Shedeur's skills will be QB1. Timothy West emphasizes that Shedeur has the ability to elevate multiple wide receivers' performances. In my view, the offensive line is even more crucial. I have respect for Tate, but my focus would be on grabbing 2 offensive linemen in the first round of the draft. The recent trade for Titus Howard opens up exciting possibilities, especially with the option to trade back, giving us a lot more flexibility moving forward. This creates significant opportunities to grab a wide receiver and possibly 2 offensive linemen if we land another first-round pick. This chance carries over into the second round, where we've pinpointed around 6 intriguing prospects, and we've already ruled out right tackles from our list. As a result, there's still a wealth of offensive line talent out there to choose from. The decision to bring in Titus Howard really boosts our draft strategy, making it even more formidable in my opinion. To wrap up today's show, let's hear from Marielle, who argues that Linderbomb is the most significant free agent signing of this offseason. A center who knows Monken's offensive schemes inside and out would be a huge asset for Shedeur Sanders' growth. I totally agree. I've been pushing this point for a few weeks now. In my opinion, Ty Linderbomb stands out as the top target in free agency. Aside from all the chatter about the draft and who might be picked, having Linderbomb at the helm, running the offense and calling the plays, would be crucial. Moreover, with Titus Howard already in the mix, who needs to get used to the Monken offense, bringing in Linderbomb provides more than just backup for the younger guys. He can also help mentor them. His presence would speed up the learning process, as he could clearly convey Monken's or Warhop's instructions to the offensive line, communicating in a way they understand. This collaboration is especially beneficial. Warhop has an impressive knack for shaping offensive linemen, similar to Monen's skill in nurturing quarterbacks. This sets up a really promising situation, and we're just getting started with this process. It's definitely possible that more trades could happen. We're going to replicate the winning building strategy used by the Bears, a technique we showcased not too long ago. This whole journey is just getting started, and our first deal has been a huge win. That's a wrap for today's show. Thanks everyone for getting involved. We'll meet up again tomorrow. Right now, it's got an ice pack on and is connected to an IV. Definitely still reeling from what happened yesterday. We're taking the show to a special spot this Saturday, thanks to the intense schedule the prediction pen has faced this week. That's a wrap for today's show. We really appreciate you being here with us. Let's go Browns! Can't wait to catch you next time.